if you don't have an example in your personal life of the things that you want to accomplish, please let us be your example. Let us be your example. There's so many people here who have done big things in our community, and just let them be your example for the things that you want to do. Don't limit yourself just because you don't have that realistic example in your family or just your loved ones, your close ones. Start the journey, create that lineage of people who went to school in your family if you don't have any. That was kind of like my goal. Like, I know Nimbanari's Felix will not struggle to understand the importance of going to school because he sees me doing well for myself, or Sarah, or my younger siblings. So that was kind of like the goal, even though I didn't have that as an example starting out, but now I'm going to be an example for the other ones that are behind me.
Another thing that I would say, that touch briefly on mentors. Mentors is such a big thing. Such a big thing. It's not just relying on your professors, but find a mentor who is into the field that you want to go into. I think that's a very important thing to accomplish when you're going into a career. When you have a mentor, they already have multiple steps ahead of you. Kandi, there's so much to learn. And when I say mentors, some people think Goni Pasteri or Mubzei, which is great. It's good to have that as well. But career-wise, it's really good to have a mentor who's already been through what you've been through and who's already into that field as well.
Nutinya gutekereza, hari abazicara ku ntebe bagutekerezeho bidatewe naho uri, bidatewe n'igihugu urimo. So tunshaka kuvuga mufite 100 chances zo gutaking education in all corners of life, ariko kandi mukaba ba responsable b'amakominote muturukamo n'ibihugu muturukamo, parce que hano mugomba kuba mufite ukuboko kumwe gutembera mu byo mushaka, mufite n'ukundi kuboko gukora ibyo bakeneyeho. Cyumvishije, mugomba kuba mufite ukuboko kumwe gushakisha ibyo mukeneye, mukaba mufite n'ukundi kuboko gutanga ibyo mukeneweho. Kubera kuko reka mbabwire kino kintu, iwacu hari abana baje ku ntambara bavuye ku ishuri. How many tasks? Bafite tasks zingahe? Zibiri. Ku ishuri ni kumanywa, nimugoroba karara ku irondo.
If you want to be a leader, you have to be a reader. No kwanga abantu benshi hano yenda musoma something from school and that's it. You have to be a person who loves to read. So reading is the most important thing. Niba n'ibintu byamfashije nge nize muri system y'Ifaransa, if I tell you my struggle, irashekeje. Ko my syllabus at school and then I kept them because in back home syllabus ni note. I didn't buy books for the 3 weeks. I had like a 3 science classes that is if the lab. You need to look for people who are successful in your field. Follow them in their social media. Just because you want to learn something. Find out when they have seminars. Pay for it. Even if you have to work for the entire year, putting something on side, because you want to attend that seminar. That's where we start getting. If it requires you to work multiple jobs to save the money to attend that, that's where you get ideas of starting stuff. Right now, I'm working for somebody, but I started my own little financial, I do taxes. I took training online. I don't do it like I'm Bikora professionally. I paid $5,000 to study that, how to do that for business, for individuals, and I'm doing bookkeeping right now. So once I'm done and you have a business.
Welcome to the White Kingdom. Amahoro, amagara meza n'amafaranga. Make sure you subscribe, comment, and share.
I am a registered nurse. I did undergrad with BN, a Right State, and the other BN. Continued after taking my boards, did my master's in leadership, and I continued with NP, so that's what we're currently dealing with right now. Okay, so my story is kind of different, I'll be honest with you guys. I've always known that I was going to go to school when I got here. Okay. Nari nzi ko nzakomeza ishuri, like I came here, nagiriwe amahirwe yo kuza muri iki gihugu ndi umwana mutoya. But prior to that, I did not have any educational background. So if there's a kid out there in the audience who thinks that they are not capable or they're like literally cannot do anything they put their mind to, I want you to know that I was that kid. So I started school in 7th grade. I learned how to read in 7th grade. I didn't know nothing. I was challenged to the max. But don't let your struggles break you, you guys. Struggles are meant to teach you, mold you into the things that you want to accomplish. It is not something that is coming your way to literally crush you. And I feel like it tends to fail in our community, especially the young kids. Like, I know I was at a library one time and this kid came to me because I happened to be there studying for an exam. And she literally was like, Aline, I can't believe, like, you're so smart. I'm like, girl, I took that minute to educate that kid and I told her, listen, anything you want, you just have to apply the discipline, just like she said. Literally take everything she said into account because that is, if you want to get anywhere in this life, you're gonna have to apply some of the things that she said. You don't have to go to like a university like I did. You don't have to. It's a lot of kids here who started in like community colleges. They did their prereqs and they transferred their credits to universities and they did the full 4 years for a bachelor's degree. That's not how everybody do it. Like specifically nursing, there's many routes around the nursing field. If anybody is ever interested in that field, and it's not just one thing. Nursing is so broad. It's not just bedside. A lot of people think, nursing is such a great major. I would recommend to anybody. You can do, once you get your experience, you can go back to school, you can do NP, you can do CRNA, where you administer anesthesia in the operating room.
I was an anesthetist.
There it is. So it's a lot of things you can do. Just open your minds, you guys. There's so many opportunities. I'm not here to enforce my ideas on anybody. We're here to educate one another and truly just inform you of all the other things. Gukora mu banyabwenge hakoreba, have another goal. Like, ni nka kurya muri make uba ufite nk'ikintu mu mufuka uri kurebera n'ubwo uri muri iyo situation yo gukora mu banyabwenge. Because that can just, one of the things I struggled with, and I know I'm taking too long, one of the things I really struggled with when I was in undergrad or when I started college in general was, iwacu nta muntu n'umwe wize. My mom ntago yize, my dad ntago yize. I think the only person who went to school in my whole entire family was my uncle Nkomezi. So ntago nigeze mbona urugero rufatika rw'ibintu nayimaginaga mu bitekerezo byanjye ntekereza, okay, I want to get here, I want to be here. So I struggled with it. Even though I had all these dreams and goals in my brain, I didn't have an example. Like, you go to school with kids and they tell you, oh, I want to be a doctor because my mom is a doctor, my dad is a doctor, my uncle is an engineer, my uncle is in tech, things like that. So I didn't have an example of the things that I wanted to accomplish, so it seemed impossible. And if you don't have an example in your personal life of the things that you want to accomplish, please let us be your example. Let us be your example. There's so many people here who have done big things in our community, and just let them be your example for the things that you want to do. Don't limit yourself just because you don't have that realistic example in your family or just your loved ones, your close ones. Start the journey, create that lineage of people who went to school in your family if you don't have any. That was kind of like my goal. Like, I know Nimba Nariz, Felix will not struggle to understand the importance of going to school because he sees me doing well for myself, or Sarah, or my younger siblings. So that was kind of like the goal. even though I didn't have that as an example starting out, but now I'm going to be an example for the other ones that are behind me. So, yeah, I think I've covered majority of it.
Due to the timing issue, we didn't have my sister Yvonne do the same thing briefly. Testimony. The reason why we do this is because representation matters. I don't know if you guys know. You guys know what DEI is, right? DEI. So DEI is basically it's where certain groups are marginalized and are allowed in certain positions. And what that does to people under those certain communities, they can't see themselves in those positions. So the same thing Ben said and the same thing she said is we didn't have anybody to look up to that was in there, so they can be around us. So the reason why we do this is so we have a lot of that, got there through school or whatever, it's so that we have a representation. If I see that my sister graduated, I can envision myself doing the same thing. So the reason why we do this is so they don't just come here and speak, it's so that there's representation. Yvonne, if you could briefly do the same thing.
Yeah, go ahead and take this one.
Hello guys, Kwatanzi, nitwa Yvonne Furaha. I won't take long, I'll just briefly kind of summarize my story. Kuri njewe it's a little different, nakuriye hano natangiye first grade, barumenge, yeah, barumenge banzi. I was very, very young when I started school here. But njewe nakuze in a household where we knew that school was not optional. That was the route. Ikindi ni ugukunda Imana kandi kumenya gusenga. I think those are the two things that I would say is very, very important when you have a dream, right? So I went to undergrad. I studied on campus, about 2 hours from here, so I wasn't near family. Abandi banyamurenge nari kumwe, so it was just me. It was, say, a little different for me because I had to rely on God a lot, right? When you have God in a community, it's a bit easier, I would say. Undergrad, I studied communication in specialization in healthcare management. Ubungu ndi gukora a master's in health services administration, be done in December. So by God's grace, they said a lot about education, and I love that they gave options. There's trade school, you can go for a 4-year degree, you can go for an associate, whatever it is. Education is not limited to just school. There's a lot of resources online you can educate yourself on. If you know a field that you want to go into, there's a lot of resources online. But I think for our community, a lot of people don't know where to start. A lot of people don't know maybe their passion or what they want to do. Ariko, for those, what I would strongly encourage is to learn more about yourself, right? High school, if we have, amahigwe, but if you're doing a GED, that's completely fine as well. But there's options to start as early as high school, right? And once you get to college, or if you also know that you're going straight into trade school, that's completely okay. But once you get to college, there's an option to take general classes. That's where you kind of test out, what you're best at and go from there. Another thing that I would say, that touch briefly on mentors. Mentors is such a big thing, such a big thing. It's not just relying on your professors, but find a mentor who is into the field that you want to go into. I think that's a very important thing to accomplish when you're going into a career. When you have a mentor, they already have multiple steps ahead of you. There's so much to learn. And when I say mentors, some people think Goni Pasteri or Mubzei, which is great. It's good to have that as well. But career-wise, it's really good to have a mentor who's already been through what you've been through and who's already into that field as well. So that's what I would say a little bit.
Ben and the other Lynn, if you guys ever have questions about education and stuff like that, you guys always get in contact with them. These are people that we look up to. You guys have achieved a lot. We really appreciate that. And it was for Michael and Sephine. Please, can you clap it up for them right now? We really appreciate you. You don't take your time for granted. And thank you so much. Ikibazo cyanjye cyari kuri Michael wavuzeho ukuntu twebwe dushobora kuva muri Afurika tukaza hano tukibagirwa mu rugo kubera twebwe wenda turi mu buzima bwiza tukibagirwa ukuntu abandi babayeho. So ngewe muri make ikibazo nari ngufitiye nuko ni gute twagira iyo passion yo gukorera mu rugo tukagira niyo passion yo guteza community imbere. Urumva kubera ni ibintu bitandukanye. Wabavuze ko ugomba kubanza ukagira passion yo guteza community imbere ukamakinga sure ko aho uri hari safe warangiza ukamuna kugenda mu gihugu. So yo ikibazo cyane ni gute urubyiruko hano twagira iyo passion mbese urubyiruko muranyumva ni gute twagira iyo passion yo mu rugo tutibagirwa twavuye kubera kwibagirwa huva ni nko kwibagirwa ubuzima bwa mbese muri make. So please go ahead and touch a little bit on that of how you have that. I don't know, maybe ikibazo cyumvikanye I can ask.
Thank you guys. I really appreciate these guys. Then I remember when I was in Congo, when I see people saying that they face some struggle about their studies. Twebwe twaface in the different struggle in the myaka myinshi because of where we were born. Iyo muvuga ngo the only struggle you got is having friends, good friends that can help you in what you are doing. Twebwe biza bidutangaza cyane kubera ko twebwe twigiye munsi y'ibiti sometimes. Noneho tukagenda ku ishuri imvura ikagwa mukabanza mugabika amakayi bene hano mukayahisha hano mukayicarira kugira ngo imvura itanyagirwa kandi wasangaga ikayi imwe wenda you can cover everything in that one book. And imagine taking like 3 hours walking to school. Kugira ngo uje ku ishuri taking almost 3 hours. And most of the people that you know in the Banyamulenge community who are our leaders, n'abantu bagiye biga muri mu buryo bugoye cyane. So when we see younger generation like you muvuga uburyo mwa facing your studies like this, mu gihugu kimeze gutya, you are blessed, mufite umugisha. So it's a big ni biteye isoni kumva ko muri kino gihugu hari umuntu wicaye just because of making check y'amafaranga 2,000 and you still have chance to join to get your enough education. So mu gihe twebwe twigaga twava kwiga mu kwezi kwa karindwi bakagutuma mu kiraro nta gusoma ariko because of life twari turimo turiga amasomo turayarangiza. You know what I'm saying? Ariko mwebwe mufite umugisha mwinshi cyane. Reka nsubire ku kibazo cyiwe rero. Every time aho uzaba uri hose, no matter where, utara discovering your purpose of living. No matter combining your purpose with your vision, plus your principles and characters. Don't know bibe managed na wisdom yawe. Ico gihe cyose nta musaruro uzatanga parce que umuntu wese utanga umusaruro muri community mu gihugu no umuntu wamaze ku discovering his purpose of living. Icatumye baho niki? Impamvu yatumye baho ni yihe? Who am I? Where I came from? Where I am? Where am I going? Kondaja he? And then ukaba ufite ya vision yatubwiye. after ufite vision izira plan, she said that is a wish na ibyifuzo. So kuba mwarageze hano muri America muri ground of navuga ko muri field of yo kuba mutagomba kuja ku ntebe zo gutekerezwaho, mugomba kuja ku ntebe zo gutekereza. Baravuga ngo iyo ubaye less of thinking, you run away at the seat of thinking. Then some people will sit on that seat and think on you. You know what I'm saying? Nutinya gutekereza, harabazicara ku ntebe bagutekerezeho bidatewe naho uri, bidatewe n'igihugu urimo. So tunshaka kuvuga mufite 100 chances zo gutaking education in all corners of life, ariko kandi mukaba ba responsable bama community muturukamo n'ibihugu muturukamo, parce que hano mugomba kuba mufite ukuboko kumwe gutembera muzo mushaka, mufite n'ukundi kuboko gukora izo bakeneyeho. Cyo kintu mwajumvishije, mugomba kuba mufite ukuboko kumwe gushakisha ibyo mukeneye, mukaba mufite n'ukundi kuboko gushaka gutanga ibyo mukeneweho. Kubera kuko reka mbabwire kino kintu, iwacu hari abana baje ku ntambara bavuye ku ishuri. How many tasks? Bafite tasks zingahe? Zibiri. Ku ishuri ni kumanywa nimugoroba karara ku irondo. Kandi reka mbabwire kino kintu, last year MPA yishuri abana bakoze exeta ikizame cya leta. Bari abana muri Minembwe yose bari abana 273. Abana benshi muri bo 70% bari abana b'urubyiruko bajaga ku ntambara biga. Mu kwezi kwa 9 turimo September yishize hasohotse diplome muri Kongo, hasohoka abana b'abanyamure muri abana babwiye hose hatsinzwe abana gusa babiri. Nukuvuga ngo abandi bose babonye ama diplome. So ngaho ni mutekereze rero mu gihe twabafashije tukaba dufite uburyo twokavaringa iriya space hari ahantu bari dene bakaja ku ma universities. Tumumva ko dufite abanyabwenge benshi kandi bafite cyangwa tukubaka university mwe ko ngo mwigire hano aho kugira ngo muzoje guhendwa na university y'abandi. Dufite university ya Dr. Lazare yazanye hari, ariko bamwe kubafasha ama diploma, they don't have enough ability to go out of Minembwe and look for other bagwenda baje mu Rwanda cyangwa hano. But what we can do, dufite university Minembwe tugomba kukavaringa ubwo bukene kugira ngo bari abantu bige.
Abandi n'abatoto bagenda kwigisha.
N'abandi baje kwigisha. Mu gihe tubonye amahoro bukavunaga mu nyina amahoro, indege zitangiye kwitura Minembwe. Take your time guys, in muri vacation. Mwama muri indege abandi bene wacu bakongomane bakira kibuga cy'indege basanga indege zose zirapukinze. Mwiture mu Minembwe. Uyu wizi gisirikare asuri kigo cya gisirikare. Uyu wizi gipolisi nuko nguko. Uyu wawe igiganga asuri bitaravure bakecuru bakiriye. Kuko hari n'ingwara zimwe bavugwa nabi kubera ko bavugwa n'abatabazara bakabatoba uko bashaka bakigendera. Ariko icyo nshaka kubabwira ni twebwe twenyine dufite umukingi wo gukora ibiturenze kubera kuko nta bandi bo bikora. Wakagombye kubushinzwe ikintu kimwe muri community. Ariko kubera imbaraga zacu nkeya n'ibibazo byinshi dufite, birasabwa kuko ugomba kuba ufite ibintu bitatu ushinzwe. Ugomba gukemura ibintu bitatu, uriya bitatu bire bitanu kugira ngo dusaranganye ibibazo byacu. Parce que ni twebwe community iri mu isi ikora ibyo leta yakagombye gukora. Know what I'm saying? So imagine muri Kongo yose ni twebwe tugurira abaturage imiti yacu yo kubavura. Ico ni igikorwa cya leta. Ni twebwe du depending with education with our children, for our children. Iyo ni ico ni igikorwa za leta. Even schools nizwe tuzi building nitwe twubaka abana aho bigira. Nibyo ni ibikorwa bya leta. Izo ni private sectors zigomba kuba ziri dependent na government, but the government of Congo ntabwo iri organizing that we are Congolese. Ariko kandi we are twe turabizi ko turabakongomani. So mu kivi rero tukiri hariya tugomba gukavaringa ibyo leta akadukoreye kuko bazaca umugani wa akimwana kazi imvura isi. Ariyo mpamvu nabwiye kuva kare ngo mwebwe imyaka mufite twakagombye kubareka mugafokasinga gusa na education, ariko kubera ibibazo twagize twabahinduye ba responsable kubera kuko tazindi imbaraga dufite ku ruhande. So kubasaba gukorera imuhira twari tubarenganyije, ariko kandi kubera kuko ntahandi duteze ni mwemere murengane mufati wo mukingi kubera kuko ntabundi buryo, ariko mwiyubake hano muntu bakane muhira. Urakoze cyane.
So urakoze cyane, and kubera due to the timing issues nari mfite ikibazo kimwe for Doc. Briefly, muri America, like I said, it's a very pacing world, right? And usanga umuntu just choosing their major or their occupation bibaye ikibazo, right? Ugasanga maybe what they're passionate about will not pay bills maybe in 10 years, right? I did a quick Google search today in the morning. It said by 2030, AI will take 97 million jobs. But AI will also create 137 jobs, but those jobs will be very skilled jobs. You won't replace the 97 that he took. And most of those jobs are low skilled jobs, right? So for umwana wakuriye, we grew up in Africa. Ibintu byo kuvuga ubwira umwana ngo what do you want to be when you grow up? We don't hear those things. Most of the time we hear them when we grow. Ugasanga, we don't really know what to study. Ugasanga, there's a conflict between passion and what we need to do to stay afloat in this environment. So how important is passion when selecting a field, and should it be a factor going forward, knowing that you could pick something that could be easily replaced with Ugasanga, you're out of job? I don't know if it's specific, but do your best, please.
Thank you again, and that is one of the hardest questions to answer. Personally, I believe that your passion should be the drive for you to choose what you want to do, because I believe that God put that in you for a reason. It's just because when we think about education, we are just thinking about money or working for somebody else. Why can't you take that passion and turn it into your own business, right? That's the mindset we have to have. I don't have to work for somebody. We all do, but I mentioned that early, wakora, how do you kora? But having a goal. Ntibivuze ko ntakora akazi mo gukora ndimo kwiga. Urumva niba ushobora gufatanya ibyo, ntibivuze ko if you go to school for something, you can be using that working for somebody to gain knowledge. Ariko urimo gutekereza, how am I going to build my own company? Icyaki navuze cya networking, no kumenya like people who are successful in the passion you have, follow them, know when they have seminars, they do. All over the world, muri America hari abantu benshi bakora seminars, but abantu bose uzi bakomeye, abize n'abatarize, but if you are a billionaire, remember what I said, we need three things. If you don't have a lot of money, you cannot be influential, but you may not have been in a formal education, but because you have billions, you're going to be given a seat. Kubera ko ufite ijambo, you know? Kandi nabo bantu nabo, most of people read. Harabavuga, if you want to be a leader, you have to be a reader. No kwanga abantu benshi anoye ndamusoma something from school and that's it. You have to be a person who loves to read. So reading is the most important thing. Niba n'ibintu byamfashije nge nize muri system y'Ifaransa, if I tell you my struggle, irashekeje. Ko bampaye syllabus at school and then I kept them because in back home syllabus ni note. I didn't buy books for the 3 weeks. I had like a 3 science classes that is if the lab. Hajya muri labo ya chemistry, then I see professor giving us pop quiz. I'm like, how do you give a pop quiz in something we haven't even learned? But it was in the syllabus. It said that you have to study this chapter. We're gonna have a quiz. We're gonna have experiment, and then we're gonna do a report. I wasn't doing any of those. For the 3 weeks, I had 3 zeros. And I'm like, the next week, professor, when did he even say anything like that? I was like, where was I? I came here in 2008 in November, 2009 August I went to school. I used to cry. I was a nurse, anesthetist. Nakoze mu bitaro natanga ibinya hari abanyamurenge ndamwe banzi mu Rwanda Kigali. Kandi ari umuhanga nabonye scholarship.
Somebody told me that.
Yeah, I got a scholarship because turangiza exam ya leta nabonye amanota menshi muri infirmiere. Like I was a top. Julia,
about you.
I had I came in top students in the whole country. I was given scholarship. None of us get zeros. Why? Because I didn't understand the system. So what I was saying is, you need to look for people who are successful in your field. Follow them in their social media, just because you want to learn something. Find out when they have seminars. Pay for it, even if you have to work for the entire year, putting something on side, because you want to attend that seminar. That's where we start getting, sorry. The microphone, na yun nga utunganya yaka.
Everything just collapsing. Yeah, that's good.
Okay. So if it requires you to work multiple jobs to save the money to attend that, that's where you get ideas of starting stuff. Right now I'm working for somebody, but I started my own little financial, I do taxes. I took training online. I don't do it like I'm Bikora professionally. I paid $5,000 to study that, how to do that for business, for individuals, and I'm doing bookkeeping right now. So once I'm done and you have a business, I can do your bookkeeping. It doesn't mean that I'm gonna stop working for somebody right now, but I'm building something that in a few years I hope it's gonna be independent. So that's the beauty of education. Ikugurira critical thinking twavuze. So choose what you love, but have an idea, how can I turn my passion to business? But if you kunda ndabona bidafita akazi kenshi, then it's going to be a challenge, because AI nizi zabijana. Ariko niba wifitiye ibyawe, nawe uzadaptinga AI igufashe, dutekereze out of the box, tureke gutekereza gukorera abantu. How can we work for ourselves? Niho dushobora gufasha iwacu. Kandi ntabwo ubushobozi buzava mu banyamerika buturimo. God has equipped us. Reka ndangize kuri iki kintu. Urabona, a manufacturer ntabwo ashobora gufata iyi phone, nge singira iPhone mfite Android, ngo ayishire kuri market itari finished product. It has everything. Ntabwo Imana yadushize hano tutari equipped. Everything we want, it's in us. Urabona ibintu byose tubona hano from head to toe, and everything it started with somebody's idea. Arayubaka, burya umuntu akora ikintu tukakibona ariko yarakibonye. Muribuka ko nabwiye ngo start with the end. Burya umuntu wakoze microphone, he had a microphone in his head or her head. Arayibona, he built it in his mind, arayiteranya, amaze kuyuzuza byembye, abona kuyishira hanze. So God sent us here fully equipped. Ntabwo Imana iguha passion for no reason. It is a reason why. So bienvenue yabivuze neza, ibintu byose byereka Imana. And ndishimye kwicarana n'abana b'abakobwa n'abahungu. Vraiment congratulations to my first munyamulenge mu aerospace engineer. Hari abandi nanzi b'abanyarwanda b'iwacu bakorera za Boeing ba designing indege. So turamufite ubwo nitutaha tukubaka. So gusa mujye muri field zose. One thing I forgot to mention, bari abantu nabahaye the top 10 billionaires, right? Ugiye kureba ibintu bose bize ni technology, economics and business. Bidahurira aho hantu naho byibaza. So mujye muri English zose, kuko iyo tuvuga gutaha nose tuzataha duhindura abanyamurenge ibifungo no tubakoreramo se. Ntabyo izo company ntizihari. Not gonna work. At least ushaka kutavuga igifaransa ariko wubatse company runaka ugakoresha bavuga igifaransa ariko it's yours. So we have to think in terms of yo kubaka ariko ntituzubaka tutuyubatse hano. Kandi the only way kwibaka hano, it's through education. Nta position dufite, we don't have money. The only option is education. Either way, nushaka gukora trading school, formal education or self-education, do it passionately, kandi be following ubigeze kuri the end. God bless you.